All right. Brandon, can you hear us?
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining us. All right.
No
So
problem.
before we roll into questions, we're going to kick off with just kind of an opening question related to heading to Talladega and kind of what the anticipation of that is for your team.
Yeah, well, I think Talladega and Daytona, those style of racetracks, that draft style super speedway feel, is one of those things that my group and even myself included has put a lot of effort into, a lot of time. I know early on in my career, when I'm watching these races and getting prepared for like my first NASCAR starts, you kind of have that mindset of these tracks are just luck. This is just you miss the big one and you get there at the end possibly. But as I study these races and as I move forward in the series, I've noticed that it's the same guys every week that run up front in these style of tracks. So there's definitely an art to it. There's definitely a science. One of those tracks that takes a lot of patience to try to get to the end. And we've got a couple of good Joe Gibbs Racing teammates as well in those fast Supras to hopefully stick with throughout the event. So I think if we can do that, we'll execute and be 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be ideal.
All right. Well, we're now going to go to questions. If you have a question, friendly reminder, raise your hand within the Zoom platform or shoot us a note in the chat. And to start us off with questions, we're going to go to Dustin now. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, hey, Brandon, how much has having Blake Cook as a driver coach helped you?
Yeah, Blake has been phenomenal. It's one thing that I've always had great crew chiefs. I've always had great team members, but I've never had that mentor to kind of help me kind of off the track a little bit with racing. And Blake's done a phenomenal job. I would be so interested to see what Blake could do in a car in today's era because his feedback, his advice is really really well. And I think everything that we do off the track, the go karts, me and him also tandem on iRacing a bunch during the week when we can. All that stuff, I think, has led to having really fast weekends for us.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question is going to come from Daniel McFadden. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Brandon. What has having veterans like Daniel Hemrick and Ty Dillon being included on the JGR squad this year? What have they brought to the team dynamic, and what have you personally learned from them that's helped you this year?
I actually learned a lot from Ty Dillon when he came to race the Superspeedway. I think the first opening race, Daytona. Typically, we all have a meeting beforehand with drivers, crew chiefs, spotters. We go over do's and don'ts. Let's try to stick with the teammates. But they also brought a lot of good points up in their meetings on side drafting and how to do so. I don't want to get in too depth because I don't want to give the competition the edge, but they definitely have a lot more knowledge than I've ever heard so far going into those tracks. And it's just when to do it, when the right time is in the corners or on the straightaways, things like that. So Ty actually brought a decent amount to my program, and I really truly believe that's why I won that first stage in Daytona is the advice that was given in that meeting from those guys. Daniel has been great. I've always raced with Daniel in my career. I can't shake Daniel for whatever reason. We've been together at RCR. I think I ran some trucks and K&N at NTS with him a little bit. So, gosh, we've been together pretty much our entire NASCAR career, even leading up to this point now. So I know Daniel well, and he knows so much more about the physical aspects of the car than I probably will ever know. He's really, really good in that department, knowing what exactly the changes are doing to those cars. And I think that over time, I keep talking to Daniel. Hopefully I could get to that point as well.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question is going to come from Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
All right. Hold on just 1 second as I cue this up, and then I'll be ready to go. I appreciate your time. So my question for you is, when you go to the race at Talladega and there are not a lot of rule changes, right? There's not a lot of rule changes. Talladega doesn't have rule changes that really are huge this time around, but the spotters sometimes will have different agendas of what how they're going to do things. That's what makes it different, right? That sometimes the spotters will talk to you and they'll have a different plan. How close is the plan going into this race as opposed to how much does it change from the last time you raced at Talladega?
Well, truthfully, I like for my spotter to be as openly free as possible during the race. One thing that's very difficult for a spotter, in my opinion, is to have all these rules, right? We got to work with so and so, but we can't let so and so in, and all this stuff. I think that it makes them think too hard, and even for a driver, you don't want to be constantly thinking about things like that. I think me and you've talked a lot, Claire, about driving off instinct, trusting your instincts, and that's the same thing for the spotter. I think he really has to spot off instinct. And so sometimes those plans can hurt us a little bit, but we have a good idea of what we want to do. I think this weekend, I think it's pretty simple. If you don't want to put yourself in a bad spot, you don't want to put your teammates in a bad spot, but if we can help them out throughout the day, then that's typically what's going to get you to win one of these races, or at least have a top 5 finish. So we have that mindset for sure, but I have told him multiple times, let's just go off of what you know and trust yourself, and that's what's going to get us to the end.
Who's your spotter again?
Stevie Reeves.
That's right. Okay. So when
Yeah.
you look that way, your attitude is the same as it was last time around, and you liked that last time too. And if you think too much, it really can screw you up, right? How do you not do that then?
It's tough. There's a lot of time to think about things. But I think you're always constantly looking for just openings. You're looking for holes. You're looking for what lane's going, what lane has momentum. If you ever get, I think bunched up with your group, then you're set. Like, hey, let's don't leave each other here. And everybody has a role. I think the leader of the pack in our group has a role, and I think the tail end of the car in our pack has a role. And that role for him in the back is to block the lanes and let us go with him. And then if you're leading the race, you're the last guy to pull up in front of the train, but at the same time, you got to be really good if we're all close to the lead, blocking those lanes. So everybody has a role in this, and if you're the middle 2 cars, I think you're just pushers. That's all you are. You're just the guy to stay with them and push the entire day. And so I think everybody has a strong suit in that group. We've all talked about it. If this case scenario happens, who wants to be the leader? Who wants to be the last car? Who's the best at all these options? And I think that's where these conversations really help out, is let's figure out, if we can align everybody perfectly, where does everybody want to be?
Thanks a lot, and good luck this weekend. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
our next question is going to come from Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Amanda. Brandon, thanks for the time, man. Hope you're well. Seems like in recent memory at super speedways, the big key team is going to be Colleague Racing. So how does a team like Joe Gibbs Racing, I know Daniel Hemrick just said earlier, they've got one of the best super speedway packages amongst the Toyota teams. How does a team come in trying to beat David, or I should say a Goliath, in Colleague Racing when it comes to super speedway racing?
Yeah, I don't think that Colleague necessarily has better cars than us, but I do think, and just watching these races over and over again to prepare, I do think Colleague works really well together. I think they work probably the best together, and that's one of the groups that we look at when we go into this weekend is, okay, how do they stick together the entire race, and how do they constantly find their teammates throughout the day? And I think that's why they do so well in these super speedway races. And I don't think it's because they have rocket ship race cars, but I think that like I mentioned, they just somehow end up together every single race. So we're definitely that's our focus this weekend. We're definitely going to try to stick with the teammates, and I think if we can execute that all day, they're going to be surprised and have a force to be reckoned with at the end.
Thank you, Brandon. Good luck this weekend, man.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we're going to take one final question here from Anton. Go ahead, Anton, with your question.
Thanks, Amanda. Good morning, Brandon. So Superspeedway racing is all about strategy, being in the exact position, in the exact time. Have you and the team prepared anything special for this weekend?
Yeah, we haven't really came up with anything special or bring anything special to the track this weekend. I know a lot of Development has definitely gone into super speedway racing in the past, I think, couple of years that I've been at Gibbs. We've taken a lot more cars to wind tunnels. We've definitely put a lot more effort, I feel like, into our super speedway program, and it shows for sure. And I wish that we had qualifying, because that's where you really see, your development through the off season and on the race cars. How much you've actually done is that qualifying effort. But when you get in the race, you can do so much to manipulate your car in the draft. You can add hundreds of counts of downforce to your car just by moving it around where you want it to, and putting it on people's quarter panels. So tough judge, whenever you get in the race. But that one lap speed is where you really see some effort. But I know we've been putting a lot of time in. I know the guys at JGR have been busting it lately to give us the best supers possible on the racetrack. So I think that it's going to shine this weekend here for us.
Thank you. Wishing you all the best for this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck this weekend in Talladega.
All right, guys. Thanks for the questions.